My friend, if I tell you that something is happening tonight, would you believe me? Not something I find on the news or in the whispers of the internet, but something is real, close quietly, unfolding in the corners of a life you might know.
The world around you looks calm, doesn't it? The streetlights hum softly, cars move lazily through the night, and somewhere, behind a curtain of silence, someone's heart beats steady, unaware that every second that passes is pulling them closer to a truth they never asked for. Picture a small town, the kind that sleeps early and wakes before dawn. In one of its narrow lanes stands a house that once felt like home to laughter. The walls have heard secrets, arguments, and the soft hum of dreams that never reached the light. Inside that house sits a person, still young enough to dream but old enough to know how fragile life can be. They're sitting by the window, their fingers tracing the outline of the glass, watching the faint glow of the street lamp flicker. There's a cup of coffee cooling beside them, untouched, forgotten, because their mind is miles away. Maybe they're thinking about someone who left, or something they lost, or a promise that no longer feels real. Outside, the wind moves through the trees like a whisper that carries something strange, something that stirs the heart without words. If you could see this moment, you'd think nothing's wrong. But that's the thing about change. It never announces itself. It slips quietly, like a thief, into the rhythm of your day, and by the time you notice, it's already taken what it came for. Tonight is one of those nights. The air feels heavier than usual, like it's holding its breath, waiting. Somewhere a clock ticks, and every tick is a countdown, though no one in that house knows it yet. They go about their evening like it's any other. A light dinner, a song playing faintly from an old speaker, the familiar hum of the refrigerator. The world feels harmless. But something, somewhere, has already shifted. A message has been sent, a call has been made, a decision sealed. And the ripples of it are already on their way, invisible but unstoppable. That's how most stories begin, quietly, with no warning. The ones that change everything don't start with thunder. They start with stillness. Maybe that's why no one noticed. Not the friend who texted a casual goodnight, not the neighbor who waved before locking their door, not even the person themselves, who smiled faintly before turning off the light. If only they knew that this smile would be their last peaceful one. But let's stay here a little longer, in this moment of unknowing. Let's watch them as they stand, stretch, and walk to the kitchen to rinse their cup. The tap runs, the water hits the porcelain sink, and a faint chill runs through their hands. Maybe it's just the cold, or maybe it's something deeper, an echo of what's coming. They pause for a moment, glance at their reflection in the dark window, and sigh. There's something in their eyes, a tiredness, a longing, a flicker of regret. We all have those moments, don't we? When we sense that something's off but can't explain why. When silence feels too quiet, when shadows feel too alive. But we brush it away. We convince ourselves it's nothing. That's what they do too. They turn off the tap, wipe their hands, and head to their room. The bed is neatly made. A small notebook lies open on the bedside table, a pen resting across its pages. Scribbles of ideas, lists, dreams, plans for tomorrow. Tomorrow, a word that feels so certain when spoken, yet so fragile in truth. They lie down, pull the blanket close, and stare at the ceiling. Their mind drifts to small thoughts, things they need to fix, people they need to forgive, messages they should have sent but didn't. They don't know that somewhere, a shadow has already chosen them. Somewhere, someone has decided that their tomorrow won't come as planned. The world outside continues, indifferent. A dog barks in the distance. A car engine hums, then fades. The stars hang above, unaware of human sorrow. In another part of the city, a phone buzzes. A message lights up a screen. Short, coded, cold. It's sent, read, deleted. A chain reaction begins, one that will find its way to that quiet house, to the person who now sleeps peacefully under a sky that holds too many secrets. Time, that silent observer, continues its dance. Hours pass like whispers. Midnight approaches. Somewhere, a door creaks open. Not theirs, not yet, but close enough. The first step has been taken. And while the world sleeps, a truth awakens. You might wonder why stories like this happen. Why some lives are suddenly turned upside down while others go untouched. But maybe it's not about fairness or fate. Maybe it's about choices, the ones made long ago, the ones that seemed small but built the road to this night. The person in that house made some of those choices too. Maybe they trusted too easily. Maybe they forgave when they shouldn't have. Maybe they believed in a kindness that wasn't real. And now, that belief is what keeps them unaware. The clock strikes 1. The air grows stiller. There's a presence in the silence, something unseen but deeply felt. Even if you were standing in that room, you might not see it, but you'd feel it. A twinge in your chest, a chill in your bones, a whisper in your ear that says, something is coming. They shift in their sleep, sensing it without knowing why. Their breathing changes, slows. The curtain moves slightly though no wind blows. A faint sound, like a floorboard groaning under unseen weight, echoes once, then stops. And just like that, the house returns to silence. But silence doesn't mean peace. Sometimes, it's the sound of something waiting. Meanwhile, miles away, someone sits in a car parked under a streetlight. The engine's off, but the headlights glow dimly. They're gripping the steering wheel, breathing slowly, eyes fixed on the clock. Their face is expressionless, but their hands tremble just slightly. They check their phone again. No new messages. They close their eyes and take a deep breath. 3 hours, they whisper to themselves. 3 hours until everything changes. 3 hours until the plan they set in motion finally takes shape. It wasn't supposed to be like this, they tell themselves. But once you set a fire, you can't control where the flames go. Regret flickers in their eyes, but it's too late now. The line between right and wrong has already been crossed. Back at the quiet house, the person sleeps, dreaming of ordinary things. Laughter, sunlight, maybe someone they love. In their dream, Everything feels warm and safe. But dreams have a cruel way of fading right before the best part. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rumbles faintly. Clouds shift over the moon. Shadows deepen. The clock moves closer to 2. Every sound feels sharper now. The tick of the clock, the creak of the wooden floor, the faint rustle of the curtain. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the rhythm of something aligning, like gears turning in the unseen machinery of fate. It's not magic. It's not coincidence. It's consequence. And soon, it will find its way to the one who thought they were safe. But let's pause here, just for a second. Let's look closer at this person's life, the small details that make it real. On the shelf by the bed sits a photo frame, a smiling face beside them, arms wrapped around each other. The kind of photo you look at when you need to remember why you believe in love. On the desk, there's a half-written letter, never sent. It begins with, "I forgive you," but ends mid-sentence, as if the heart that wrote it couldn't find the courage to finish. In the drawer below, there's a key, small, rusted, forgotten. To what, even they don't remember. But keys always open something, and this one's no different. Hidden meaning, buried truth, silent connection, all waiting for the moment when everything collides. And that moment is closer than you think. The person in the car looks at their watch again. The second hand ticks. They whisper something. Maybe a name, maybe a prayer. Then they start the engine. The sound breaks the stillness of the street, echoing like a warning. The house, far away but not far enough, stands still under the soft glow of the moon. Inside, the sleeper stirs once more, unaware that the world outside has already begun to move against them. The roads are empty. The car moves slowly, deliberately, each turn calculated, each streetlight passed like a silent witness. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wails faintly and fades. Life goes on, oblivious to what's coming. It always does. The driver reaches into their jacket, feels something cold and metallic, hesitates, then lets out a shaky breath. "Just one last time," they mutter. Maybe they believe that after tonight, things will make sense again. Maybe they've convinced themselves that this is justice, not revenge. But deep down, they know that once the line is crossed, it can't be uncrossed. The clock in the car dashboard reads 2:38. In 22 minutes, 2 lives will intersect again. Not with words, not with forgiveness, but with something irreversible. And yet, neither of them truly understands what's at stake. The one asleep still believes in tomorrow. The one driving believes they're ending pain. But both are wrong. Because what's coming isn't an ending. It's an awakening. Cruel, unexpected, and final. The wind begins to rise. The first drops of rain fall softly on the car windshield. The driver doesn't slow down. They know the road well. They've driven it too many times before, back when things were simple, before promises broke and hearts hardened. Every corner carries a memory, every turn a ghost. And as they get closer, something inside them shifts, a flicker of doubt, of fear. But the clock keeps ticking. And once time decides, there's no mercy. Back at the house, the person wakes suddenly. No reason. Just a jolt, as if something inside them whispered, "Wake up." They sit up, glance at the clock, 2:55 a.m. They sigh, rub their eyes, and look around. Everything's quiet. Too quiet. They stand, walk to the window, pull the curtain slightly. The street outside glistens under the rain. Empty. Still. But for a fleeting second, they think they see something. A light, distant, moving closer. Then it's gone. They shake their head, smile faintly at their own imagination, and turn back toward the bed. But their heart's beating faster now. Some part of them knows. And far away, the car continues down the road, its headlights slicing through the rain. The distance between them grows smaller with every passing second. Two people, two choices, two destinies, bound by one unseen thread, drawn toward the same point in time where everything will change. The night holds its breath, and in that breath, the world waits. The rain thickens, painting the streets in silver streaks as the headlights of the car blur into ghostly reflections on the wet asphalt. Inside the house, the person who woke moments ago still stands by the window, hands pressed lightly against the glass. Something feels wrong. It's not the storm. It's the silence beneath it, the stillness that hums louder than thunder. They pull the curtain aside and peer into the night again, trying to convince themselves it's nothing. But unease clings to the air like a scent that won't fade. They can't explain it, but it feels like the world has shifted slightly off balance. Their thoughts drift to memories they thought they'd buried, a face they once trusted, a promise broken, words spoken in anger that still echo in quiet moments. They close their eyes, take a deep breath, and whisper softly to themselves, "It's over. It's in the past." But the past never really dies. It lingers, waiting for nights like this to remind you that time heals only the wounds you stop touching. And tonight, those wounds are open again. The clock on the wall reads 2:57. The sound of each tick seems louder now, sharper, slicing through the quiet like a warning. The air feels heavier. They turn away from the window, deciding to make some tea, something to calm their nerves. The kettle hums softly, steam curling up like a fragile ghost. They pour the hot water, stir in sugar, and stand silently, watching the swirl of liquid. They don't realize how their hands are trembling slightly, or how their reflection in the dark window behind them looks almost like a stranger. Meanwhile, the car draws closer, the driver's jaw tight, eyes fixed on the road ahead. They know every turn by heart. They could drive this path blindfolded. And yet tonight, it feels different. The rain is louder, the shadows deeper, and their conscience heavier. They grip the wheel tighter, whispering the same phrase over and over, "I have to do this. It's too late to stop." But the truth is, they've been trying to convince themselves for hours. You see, betrayal doesn't start with hate. It starts with disappointment, a slow erosion of trust until the love you once had turns into something sharp enough to cut you. That's what happened between these two souls. Once, they shared laughter that could light up rooms. Once, they believed in each other so deeply that the world outside didn't matter. But then came lies, small at first, harmless even, the kind of lies that people tell to protect feelings. Until one day, the truth slipped out and everything crumbled. Promises turn to accusations, tenderness to bitterness. And in the ruins of that broken trust, something dark was born, a hunger for closure, for answers, for control. And now, that darkness is driving through the storm, heading straight toward the house that still believes it's safe. Inside, the tea sits forgotten on the counter. The person has moved to their old notebook again, flipping through pages filled with half-written thoughts and unfulfilled plans. On one page, a single sentence stands out, underlined twice. One day, everything will make sense. They smile faintly, a sad kind of smile, the kind that hides more pain than peace. They pick up the pen and begin to write, words flowing without much thought. If I could change anything, I'd go back to the night we stopped understanding each other. The ink bleeds slightly on the paper as if the page itself feels the weight of the confession. The storm outside grows louder. Wind howls softly through the cracks of the old window frame. A branch scratches against the glass, and they flinch, their heart skipping for no reason. That's when they hear it, a faint sound, almost drowned by the rain. Tires rolling over gravel. Slow. Deliberate. They freeze. For a moment, everything stops. The ticking clock, the hum of the fridge, even their breathing. They listen. The sound grows clearer, closer. A car pulling up outside. But who could it be at this hour? It's past 3. No one visits now. They step toward the window again, peeking through the curtain. There it is, a car parked just across the road, headlights off, engine running faintly. Their stomach tightens. They can't see who's inside, just the vague outline of someone behind the wheel. For a long minute, nothing happens. Then, the engine cuts off. Silence. The person's pulse quickens. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just someone waiting out the rain. But their gut says otherwise. The mind may lie, but instinct never does. The driver sits still, watching the faint light spilling from the house window. They know that silhouette. They know every curve of that shadow, every movement. A rush of memories floods their mind. Laughter in this very house, dinners shared, late-night conversations that once meant everything. They close their eyes and see it all, so vivid it almost hurts. I didn't want this, they whisper. But sometimes, wanting isn't enough. They reach for the object beside them. The cold weight of it in their hand feels like the embodiment of every choice they regret. They rest their head on the steering wheel, eyes shut, rain tapping on the windshield like a heartbeat. They whisper a name, the name of the person inside. And for a moment, their eyes fill with tears. But then they open them, take a deep breath, and step out of the car. Inside the house, the person moves toward the door. They hesitate, listening. Footsteps on the wet path. Slow. Steady. Getting closer. The knock comes, soft, polite, almost hesitant. It shouldn't be frightening, but it is, because it feels wrong. They stand frozen, heart pounding, staring at the door as if it might speak. The knock comes again. Who's there? They call out, voice shaking slightly. No answer. Just the sound of rain. They step closer, gripping the handle but not turning it. Who is it? They ask again, louder this time. Then a voice, muffled, low, familiar. "It's me." Two words that stop their breath. That voice, they'd know it anywhere. For a moment, they think it must be a dream. But dreams don't sound like that. Their mind races. Why now? After everything? After months of silence, after the messages unanswered, after the goodbye that wasn't really goodbye, why show up here, in the middle of the night? The rain beats harder against the roof. The world outside feels far away. They take a step back, unsure whether to open the door or run. But curiosity, that ancient, dangerous thing, wins. They unlock the door and pull it open just enough to see a face, soaked from the rain, eyes dark, haunted. "Can we talk?" the visitor says softly. No anger, no threat, just a quiet exhaustion. Against every instinct, the door opens wider. They step inside. For a moment, the world holds still. Two people, once bound by love, now separated by silence and secrets, stand facing each other. The air between them is thick with everything they haven't said. The visitor looks around. The same furniture, the same photos, the same warmth. It's like stepping back into a memory. "You shouldn't be here," the person says quietly. "I know," comes the reply. "But I couldn't stay away." They sit at the table. The same one where they once shared laughter, meals, plans for forever. The person looks at the visitor's hands, trembling, restless. "Why now?" they ask. The visitor hesitates. "Because I had to see you before." Their voice trails off. "Before what?" Silence. Just the sound of rain against the glass. Every story has a moment like this, where time slows, where the air feels electric with what's unsaid. This is that moment. The person's heart is racing. They can't shake the feeling that something isn't right. They look at the visitor again. Really look. The eyes they once trusted now seem distant, shadowed by guilt. "What did you do?" they whisper. The visitor looks down, unable to meet their gaze. "You wouldn't understand," they say quietly. "Then make me," the other replies, voice trembling. And finally, the truth begins to slip through the cracks. A confession, slow and fractured, spills into the space between them. Words about betrayal, about choices made out of anger, about consequences no one meant to unleash. The person listens, frozen, as the pieces fall into place. All the things that never made sense suddenly do. And it feels like the ground beneath them has disappeared. Tears mix with rainwater dripping from the visitor's hair. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," they say, voice breaking. "But it's too late now." The person stands, backing away slightly, disbelief etched across their face. "What do you mean, too late?" But before the answer can come, a sound outside interrupts. Another car approaching, its lights slicing through the night. Both turn toward the window. "Who's that?" the person asks, fear creeping into their voice. The visitor looks out, face pale. "You weren't supposed to call anyone," they say, more to themselves than to the other. "I didn't," comes the reply. But the visitor's eyes say they don't believe it. The car outside stops. Doors slam. Shadows move in the rain. Voices, low and sharp. The person steps closer to the window, trying to see. The visitor grabs their arm. Don't. There's panic in their voice now, raw and unguarded. What's going on? The person demands. But the only answer is the sound of footsteps drawing closer. Fast, urgent, purposeful. The visitor looks around, desperate, searching for a way out. The person can barely breathe. The door handle rattles once, twice, then the pounding begins. Open up, a voice shouts from outside. Not a friendly voice. Not a voice that comes in peace. In that moment, everything becomes a blur. The visitor whispers something, "I'm sorry," before reaching into their jacket. The person gasps, stepping back, eyes wide with shock. "What are you doing?" But the visitor's face is unreadable now, hardened by something deeper than fear. The pounding on the door grows louder. The window shudders under the wind. The storm outside feels like it's breaking through the walls. And then, for a single heartbeat, everything stops. The rain, the thunder, the noise, as if the world itself is holding its breath.